Will the sun burn with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings? Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth. Namo Saranto Suchedoye Ola Guri Samyo Samputosye.
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 Years of past, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma. In 100,000 million aeons, it's difficult to encounter. Now that I've come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning. All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great Master Shinhua, all good no advisors, Amitabha. Can you hear like this, or should we close the door until the truck leaves? What do you think? Thank you. Section 12 is about a list of difficulties and exhortation to cultivate. The book said people encounter 20 different kinds of difficulties. It is difficult to give when one is poor. It is difficult to study the way when one has wealth and status. It is difficult to abandon life and face the certainty of death. Speaking of difficulties, difficulties are simply could also be called as obstructions. Okay, like the truck in front of the house when you try to do chant, silent recitation, and would stay there the whole time.
It's a test.
And it's our test to see who's the first one to get afflicted. And stand up and slam the door shut. No one did. So you all passed the test. I'm the one who broke down and finally asked, made a suggestion that maybe we should close the door. So it's your teacher who failed, okay, today. It is difficult to give when one is poor. Problem being poor is that you feel that you don't have enough for yourself. You have nothing to spare. Therefore, how can you give? It's difficult to study the way when one has wealth and status. Status is a big one. When you're used to boss people around, you can't stand being bossed. Okay? People with power, with status, are usually have a hard time cultivating. Wealth is another thing. Wealth is when you have money, why should you waste time studying or doing something that really produces no money at all? it's a big problem. As you can see, in our audience, there aren't that many people who are billionaires or rich, real rich. They wouldn't be here. In general, life is just a dream. That's the saying in Chinese. Life is but a dream. Everything is false. In time, even oceans disappear, glaciers melt, people come and go. So, sorry? Finally. It is difficult to abandon life and face the death certainty. There's something final about the nature of death. That is kind of scary. People can think about, can talk about giving up their lives, but when it's time to do it, there's no turning back, there's no going back, there's no more second chances. That's real difficult. And yet, we find ourselves ignoring the inevitable. It's amazing to see in our audience some young people, whereas most of you have plenty of reminders of the impending nature of death. It awaits us. Okay. It's not pleasant to have to face it. It is difficult to encounter the Buddhist sutras. It is difficult to be born at the time of a Buddha. It is difficult to be patient with lust and desire. It is difficult to see fine things and not seek them. It is difficult to be insulted and not become angry. It is difficult to have power and not abuse it. Buddhist sutras, especially in English, aren't widely circulated at all, are they? Leave alone even the explanation of Buddhist sutras are really hard to find. I find that the English translation of Master Shenhua's sutra explanations are a real treasure, and yet so many people don't know about it, aren't aware of it. I remember introducing even the sutras, even Dharma talk tapes to people who have heard of Master Shenhua's name and reputation. He's very well known actually because of his past accomplishments. He's real well known in Asia because he used to go around and cure a lot of people's diseases. Whatever disease you have, you come and see and seek him out, he'll cure it. Okay? So in Asia, he's pretty well known. And when I introduced his dharmas, his sutras on his dharmas to many Buddhist faithfuls, they read it and they didn't like it. Somehow it didn't connect. Okay. I even remember introducing the English translations to a American nun, Buddhist nun, and she got so angry. She said, I disagree with what he said. It's so pessimistic. It takes a certain level of lessons before you can really truly appreciate the Buddhist sutras. Trust me, it's not that easy. Not more difficult you think. So difficult to encounter a Buddhist sutra is so even more difficult to encounter, than Shenhua's sutra explanations. Sutra explanations are really very hard to find. Can't find it at all. And you may run into some sutra explanations. The quality is so poor, so confusing. They add garbage instead of helping you get rid of your garbage. They add more garbage in your mind. It's difficult to be born at the time of Buddha. When you're born at the time of Buddha, you only have to come see him, and chances are that you become enlightened. You become an aha in no time at all. My Shifu, Venerable Shenhua, his left home people, I heard initially, his left home, his monk and nuns, they cultivate full time with him for about a few years. They become ahas. First stage, second stage, third stage. Okay, that's pretty fast.
Why is that?
Why?
Why is?
Because he knows how to teach you. He knows how to help you overcome your obstructions and help your good roots mature quicker. All right? And he has enough virtues to inspire faith in us. See, you sit here, you listen to me, and you have doubts arising in your mind because I simply do not have enough virtues. Okay? So this is more of a struggle for you. If he were here and lecture to us, you can more readily accept his teachings. The connection is a lot stronger and a lot quicker. Okay? If you sincerely seek it. I noticed that when I attended some of his lectures, I only attended about one or two of his lectures, I saw his level people nodding in the back. So it's not for everyone. It really, really to be able to find a good knowing advisor, you can really make progress a lot quicker. Okay. It is difficult to be patient with lust and desire. This is one of the things that are real hard to control. Is yourself. The lust that wells up inside of us. You really are not sure what triggers it off, but once it arises, it keeps on building up and building up, and it's very hard to go against that, especially the cultivators. Master Shenhua, when he was younger, when he was in his teens, he told his mother, his parents, that he wanted to lead a home life. And his mother said, "No, I want you to be around here. You're my only son. Okay? Stay with me until I die. Then you can do whatever you please." So Venerable Shenhua said, "Okay, fine. I stay with you." And guess what? He went to school. He had 2 years of schooling. That's all. His entire life, he had only 2 years of schooling. That's all. But when he was in school, he was pretty an excellent student. He could make poetry. He has a photographic memory. He could memorize a lot of books. Okay, and so he's pretty well known throughout the school. He's the hot stuff. And there's this particular girl who's maybe a little bit older than he is. Okay. In a village. He used to live in a village. His family is very poor. And her family is very rich. So she would come around knowing about his reputation, look at him, and he pleases her. So she would go to him and, and try to draw his attention. Master Shenhua, his own words, he said, at that time, I didn't know what she meant. So I looked at her and said, "What are you doing? If you keep on doing it, I'm going to beat you." Stop it. and she wouldn't stop. So he almost hit her. Okay, and then he knew better. I said, it's not very gentlemanly like. Okay, even though he's very poor, but he has some manners. So he avoided her. But within weeks, a marriage counselor, a matchmaker, came knocking on his door, and she represented the girl's family, coming to ask for his hand. Speaking of wealth, rich people, and during those times, marriages were arranged, and in particular, you have to give a dowry to your daughter, okay, and you make demands, and so that's why you have to be appropriate for each other in terms of wealth and status in society. And his family, Vimosheno's family, is so poor. Okay, so he's much lower class basically. And they came, and the matchmaker said, I am representing Mr. and Mrs. So and so. Their daughter have eyes for your son, and she refuses to marry anyone else. Okay, and she wants to be his wife. And whatever you want, we agree. Don't worry about the wedding, about anything. We take care of everything. And whatever you want from her, from us, you got it. So his mother called him up and said, son, today we had a visitor. Have you Miss so and so? I said, who's that? And then it never dawned on him that was that girl that he almost beat up. And when he found out, he told him, so what do you think? No, it's about that time anyway. You're about the right age to get married, And she's a good family. She's a good girl. And she'll be a good wife. And you have a good life together. You won't be as poor as we are. So what do you think? Benoit said, I'd do anything for you, but get married. If you force me, Mom, I run away from home. Pretty early age, he knew already what he didn't want. Girls. It's very unusual. Very unusual. It's very difficult to see fine things and not seek them. Fine things in California could substitute fine things for cars. Okay, and maybe a Ferrari 430 and not seek them. It's difficult to be insulted and not become angry. Anyone has this kind of experience before? Never. Of course. Never ever. There was a monk who was doing his arms around, and he came and solicited at a rich family, rich merchant. And that the merchant was admiring this red pearl that he has, this huge red pearl, priceless red pearl. As soon as he saw the monk coming, begging for food, he put the pearl down and went to the kitchen, told his kitchen staff to gather food for him to make offerings to the monk. Okay, so the monk was there left alone in the garden, okay, with the pearl, red pearl, by himself. Okay, no one could see him. Well, that rich man was in the kitchen preparing food, okay, getting food ready to offer to the monk. In the garden, there is a goose who looked at the red pearl, red shiny pearl, and thought it was a piece of meat. Okay, so he ran over and swallowed it and ate it. The monk saw that. Oh. And sure enough, the rich man came right back with a tray of food and offered it to the monk and then bowed to him after giving the food. That rich man is a Buddhist. He knows the protocol. Bowed to him and so very sincere and very respectful. The monk accepted it. And the rich man stood up, looked at his pearl. It's gone. Being rich also means you're pretty smart. So he looked at the monk and said, what did you do with it? If you want it, I give it to you. The monk said nothing. You don't have to steal it, master. You want it, I give it to you. The monk said nothing. See, he's insulting the monk. Right? You're a thief. Right? What kind of monk are you? Still said nothing. So the man said, since you're not even brave enough to admit your own greed, okay, I'm going to beat it out of you. Are you going to tell me the truth? Did you steal it? There are only two people when I left this red pearl here on the table. Just you and me. Okay? I came back. I went away to my kitchen and I came back. You were the only one here with the pearl. Now the pearl is gone. You're gonna tell me you didn't steal it from me? You didn't get greedy and steal it from me? And he said nothing. The monk looked at the goose still there, trying to digest his food, and he thinks, if I tell the owner about the goose swallowing the pearl, I'm going to inflict harm to the goose. What compassion is it of me to do that? So he still said nothing. Couldn't even make any hint. What can you do? So the owner got more angry, and to add insult to injury. And not only did he insult the monk, he also started beating the monk. Okay? And he pretty violent, and he gave the monk a real good beating, and the monk bled. Okay? He started bleeding. Blood flew out of his body, the streets. And the goose, who probably has trouble with the digestion, hungry, lapped at the monk's blood. And he gets in the way of the beating. So the owner was so angry. The more he beat the monk, the more silent the monk became. He saw the goose, and he got angry and beat the goose to death in one swing. Then the monk saw that. Before I could react, he saw that and realized that the goose is dead. And he suddenly, oh, wait, you're gonna admit now, huh? No. So the monk said, it's the goose who swallowed your pearl. You don't believe me? You check it out. Okay, so the owner cut up the goose and found the pearl. So you can take this Dharma to even a step further. So next time that you are insulted and you become angry, remember about this monk story here. Don't react. Don't do anything to harm others. Okay? Because when you react and you become angry, with your power, with your kung fu, you can inflict a lot of damage to others. Alright? It's difficult to have power and not abuse it. What's the point having power and not abuse it? Right? Particular power of the weaker sex is kind of addictive, isn't it, Janine?
I'm not sure which way you meant that.
Doesn't mean anything.
Isn't it funny? He said it to Janine, but Bill reacted.
Is it difficult to come in contact with things and have no thought of them? It's that contact that starts a chain of reaction. So, in interpersonal relationships, okay, boys, the trick for boys is that if the girls let you touch her, okay, then it's a chain chemical reaction and goes off. Be careful, and vice versa. It's a two-way street. That's why for the monks and nuns, you're not supposed to touch monks and nuns, by the way. You're not supposed to touch them. That's why. It is difficult to be vastly learned and well-read. It is difficult to get rid of pride. It is difficult not to slight those who have not yet studied. It is difficult to practice equanimity of mind. It is difficult not to gossip. Any questions here? Vastly learned and well-read. In both ways, at the world level as well.
Everything?
Yeah, everything.
Infinite comment.
What?
That's an infinite comment. I mean, there's...
Yeah, that's precisely the point. Our lifespan is limited. What is your expected life? What is your life expectancy? And how many years that can you be productive? Can you learn? Okay. In particular, at your stage in life right now, the older you get, the harder it is to learn. So it's not easy to broaden our knowledge. We're not even talking about wisdom yet. Okay. The transcendental wisdom has to begin with being learned, vastly learned and well read. That's the starting point. It is difficult to get rid of pride. Why is it difficult to get rid of pride?
Pride is self.
It's your life. It's your world. You build your world around it. That's it. What else is there? Difficult not to slight those who have not yet studied. Well, they're sort of stupid. What can you do? It's difficult to practice equanimity of mind. Why is it difficult? Because the nature of our sixth consciousness is to discriminate, differentiates. Our mind is constantly discriminating. Right? Oh, I can do it faster, I can do it cheaper, I can do it so. It's always evaluating, analyzing, discriminating. And it's difficult not to gossip. That doesn't apply to us, right? I think between us girls, more for the boys, right? It is difficult to meet a good and wise advisor. It is difficult to see one's own nature and study the way. It is difficult to teach and save people according to their potentials. It is difficult to see a state and not be moved by it. It is difficult to have a good understanding of skill in means. To meet a good and wise advisor is real difficult. Why is that?
There aren't that many around.
There aren't that many around.
And you can't tell them who's you.
There are a lot of them around you think than you know. But the problem is you can't recognize them. The truth of the matter is that it's a good known advisor who spots you and decides to teach you, to help you and teach you.
But you still have to ask.
That's right. You have to ask. You have to have the mind of seeking wisdom. Okay? So if you have that kind of mindset, let's say you have a mindset of seeking wisdom, seeking knowledge, becoming a better person, you have that kind of motivation, then maybe then the good knowing advisor may recognize that and then recognize your good roots and say, and give you hints and tips on how to cultivate.
And Master, that's what you saw him now.
Yeah.
Without his telling you that he had practiced transcendental meditation and
Yeah.
he asked.
Yes, you were talking about your husband, right?
Yes.
Just to clarify for the people who are not here. Janine does respect her husband. Thank you. Oh, okay, you're welcome. What happened with him is that a couple of things. First of all, he requested that I taught him meditation. I don't know why he requested I would teach him meditation. At the time when I wasn't ready to teach anyone, I was in seclusion. So, but he requested, and he requested with a lot of sincerity. He was very respectful. So I saw that as sincerity, and that's why I decided to help him and decided I would teach him in the future when I begin to teach. Okay. So it's in other words, he was seeking a teacher. You have to have that kind of mindset. And don't worry about anything else. Keep on seeking and seeking, have that kind of mindset of wanting to draw near a good known advisor, and the good known advisor eventually will manifest. It's beyond your control now. It's a function of your blessings. It's not, even if you encounter the Buddha, you don't have enough blessings, the Buddha can't help you. It has to be both ways. Okay. Difficult to see one's own nature and study the way. See one's own nature, that's refers to the Chan, okay? Cultivation. That's the Chan Dharma door is the most direct Dharma door to help you see your nature. What does it mean? So you can see your own nature. That means you are enlightened. Okay? It's difficult to teach and save people according to their potentials. Now you're enlightened. You've been studying the way you're enlightened. You have some kung fu. Now you have to think about helping others. That's Mahayana way. And even when you want to do that, arhats are not willing to do that. That's not the primary objective for arhats and pratyeka Buddhas. They're there to help themselves. They practice the way, study the way to save themselves primarily. And therefore, even the bodhisattvas, after they become enlightened, they still have to learn the dharmas in teaching and saving people according to their potentials. So there you have it. Becoming an arhat is not an easy thing, okay? And from an arhat to a bodhisattva or the first round bodhisattva, or that means to see one's own nature, It's very, very far away, far apart. Very difficult right there. And once you get there, you still have to learn a lot of dharmas so that enables you to teach and save others. Venerable Shariputra is number one, is foremost in wisdom in the Buddha's, among the Buddha's Arhat disciples. You know that, right? Shariputra. You can't find Arhat who is wiser than Shariputra. And Shariputra, Venerable Shariputra has two disciples. And he taught his two disciples for a long, long time. One disciple is a blacksmith, and another is a graveyard caretaker, cemetery caretaker. So he taught the blacksmith about the contemplation of impurities, impurity contemplations. With that Dharma, you can become an Arhat. That's another Dharma that you just learned today. In addition to the Four Noble Truths, Dharma, there's also a Dharma called the contemplation of impurities. Basically, you contemplate upon death, your corpse decaying, and go through 9 stages. Okay? And with that kind of contemplation, you can become an Arhat. And for the cemetery caretaker, he taught that person the Dharma of breath counting. You heard of breath counting technique? Okay, you were taught that technique in a Chan class. With that technique alone, you can accomplish Arhatship. So his two disciples practiced those dharmas for a long, long time, and they got nowhere. So Venerable Shariputra went and saw the Buddha and said, Buddha, Venerable World Honored One, I have two disciples who have been teaching for a long, long time. And they're making very little headway at all in the cultivation. What can I do? And the Buddha said, switch dharmas.
Huh. That's funny.
Okay? Teach a blacksmith about the breath counting method. And teach the caretaker, cemetery caretaker, the contemplation of impurities. He did that and became Arhat in no time. You have to recognize people's potential so that you can teach them the proper Dharma. My Shifu, when he saw me, I remember the first time I saw him in person was at Burlingame, where Hang Bin Fasha is, ITI, the Translation Institute in Burlingame, California, Northern California. That's when first time he was lecturing, and so I sat way in the back, and that's where his couple monks and nuns were nodding away. It was weird. My first exposure to Buddhism, some guy called Venerable Shenhua, okay, and even his own disciples couldn't stay awake for his lecture.
Were you still in late life?
Yeah, I was a lay person. So my father and my mother were also lay people. So after the lecture, Venerable Shenhua was sitting at a couch, and talking to people. He's always surrounded by lay people begging for favors, asking this, asking that. Okay. So my father is very timid. He's very scared of Venerable Shenhua. He have nothing to hide. He have nothing to be scared of. Okay. That's if you ask me. So he would told me, you see, that's my Shifu. He told me, let's bow to him. See, normally you would bring your offspring over, okay, and introduce your offspring. But no, he would stay very far away. So let's bow to him from here. So I bowed to him. And at that point in time, I knew that Venerable Shenhua was listening to his another person talking to him. There was a nun who was translating for him. Okay, as that thing was going on, I was bowing down. Okay, I was imitating my father as bowing to Rinpoche this far from here to there. Now I suddenly realized that Rinpoche was looking at me. Okay, and I got up and bowed. I knew at that time. Somehow I knew that he was looking at me, but I couldn't have any proof. It's, it's one of those things, your intuition, like that some of these knowledge you have, and at that time, 25% of me felt pretty good. I said, who am I for him to be curious about me? It was very fast because bows only in the time span of 3 bows, he was looking at me, and I knew it. Okay. And later on, I personally went and saw him in West Covina. A few months later. Okay. My parents happened to come along to make an offering. They sold their houses, and they became monks and nuns. So they offered up the money to him, big check. So I simply tagged along, and I decided then just to lead a home life. So I tagged along, and he was very sick. He was dying. It was about a few months just before he died. So his attendant was Venerable Heng Te. He used to be at Long Beach Monastery with Heng Chan. He's the managing monk. He's that guy. So Heng Te was there, and he was translating for Venerable Shenhua. So my parents were given permission to become a monk and a nun. They were still lay people. Okay, I was a lay person, but they came there to make an offering to Rinpoche Shenhua. At that time, I already received the 5 precepts already, and I was living in a city of 10,000 Buddhas for a couple of months already. So I came and tagged along, and on the spur of the moment, I said, living the city, I kind of like it, so maybe I become a monk for the heck of it. My shifu, within the span of less than 1 minute, he agreed and taught me my Dharma and kicked me out. I said, it took me 10 years before I understood what he taught me. It took me 10 years. He tested me for 10 years. For 10 years. I went through his test for 10 years.
What do you mean by he taught you the Dharma?
That's the Dharma he taught me.
Gave you a lecture or?
Unknown to everyone else, there, Heng Te was there, my parents was there, he was there, so 5 of us. Okay, I was there. He taught me my Dharma. I didn't even know at that time that he taught me my Dharma. I didn't even know. So after that, I went along and I asked, because he died very quickly, so I asked Heng Shu, I asked Heng Lu, I asked a lot of monks, please teach me a Dharma. See, my Shifu allowed me to live a home life, but he never taught me anything. I'm dying for a Dharma for me to practice. I didn't give up my lay life to come here and learn from you guys. I didn't say that. Okay?
Yes.
But you guys are seniors and you're supposed to teach me something. Teach me a Dharma. Teach me a mantra. Teach me whatever you know. I didn't even know. So they pushed me around, made me do a lot of work, didn't teach me a whole lot. Okay. And so I learned some dharmas from them, I found out that eventually, after 10 years, and then I realized that the dharma he taught me is what I'm supposed to practice. After 10 years. As soon as I became a shami, okay, before I can do anything else, because before I thought I loved chant, so I thought I become a monk and do it full time. Got nothing to lose, like, go back, what's a big deal, right? I'm the kind of person who goes all out. So I like chant, I like meditation, I go all out and learn meditation. You want me to become a monk? I become a monk. Does this sound familiar? What happened to me recently as well? You want me to bow to you? I bow to you. It's called retribution. No interest in becoming enlightened or anything. I just want to meditate. And what's better than going to a meditation master and learn from him and his disciples? Who cares about Buddhahood? Really screwed up mindset. And he taught me anyway. Remember what I told you about the vessel? It's you who decide to shape your own vessel. So within a couple of months he died. And I came in thinking that because he declared, I'm going to live to be 100 years old. And I figure he's around in the 70s, therefore it gives me about 20 years to learn from this guy. And guess what? He died on me right away. So what do? See, I was put on to the test right away. You serious about it or not? You really want to learn chant? Here's your chance. And I lasted there for about 2 years. I was really abused for 2 years. Under your standards, in the world standards, you call it abuse. Okay? I withstand that test for 2 years and I said, isn't a whole lot more I can learn from these people. Maybe it's time to move on. So I left the DRBA. The circumstances propelled me to leave the DRBA. And then I went to Taiwan very quickly. And I ran through that test that we mentioned earlier about lust and wealth. I lived in a temple whose abbot is a very well-known monk in Taiwan. He's the only monk who earned a PhD in Eastern philosophy from one of the biggest universities in Taiwan. The only monk. No one ever did it before. And no one ever could do it again after he did. So he's very well known. And he lived in some facilities, like we have a temple in a mountain half an hour from the branch office in downtown Taipei. Okay? So every Wednesday evening, we have to go. We are trucked from the temple in a mountain to the branch office in the city where he would lecture on Wednesday night, 7 to 9 o'clock. Okay? So I went there, and as soon as I went there, I couldn't speak Chinese. Within a couple of lectures, I would sit here and we mingle. The lecture hall is about twice, maybe 3 times the size of this room here. Rather well attended. It's all filled up. It's very well known. It's should be around 60 people. About that, 60 people. And within a couple of weeks, this is a young girl, and I'm looking at my young audience here. I don't know how you guys would describe it. She's hot.
She's in description.
She came and talked to me in English. Okay? Nice figure, very pretty, nice perm, not a cheap kind of perm, okay?
You can tell.
Oh yeah.
You haven't forgotten that.
Those are the things you don't ever forget, Mel.
You don't have to explain.
And
Another test.
I was naive then. Okay, I didn't know because we had protocols. I was glad to find someone who could speak and converse with me in English, and it's pleasant to look at. Okay, but the second week she came and sought me out again and talked to me again, and suddenly it dawned on me that there may be some romantic interest here.
But you were in a monk Scott, right?
Yeah, I was my monk girl, and David knew I was a monk. Okay, and she made it clear that, at least for my part, I realized that maybe she's kind of likes me. Okay, and I looked at her and I said, "Wow, this is kind of interesting." And the funny thing that I found so funny is that this is a very, very attractive young lady. She's like your age, RJ. Okay, half of my age. Drawn to me for some reason. I didn't know quite understand why. But I look at her. The funny thing is that she was talking down to me while going after me at the same time. She has a weird way of talking to me. She expressed her interest, but then, from a high level down, she was talking down to me the whole time. Okay? So I quickly dismissed her. The following week, I sort of ignored her, and she went this way, go this way, I'd go the other way, And within a month, I saw her again at the mountain temple. Because back then, on Saturdays, the Venerable Abbot would then give us a lecture on precepts, left home people precepts. So we did internal training for left home people only, about 10 of us. So on Saturdays, we have a women facility and a men facility. So men would walk over the women facility because there's more of them there, and it's a bigger facility. I found her right there, bull-headed, in a nun's garb. And let me tell you a weird thing. She came to me and greeted me, and then I looked, what happened? Actually, the head without hair is also quite attractive. But it's a big change in attitude. She no longer talked down to me. Okay? It's so strange. And then, we started to gossip. Talk about it among the men's side. And I found out that about her age. Her parents are extremely wealthy. And she was the last born. She was the youngest of the family. Okay? And she could have anything she wanted. And she was bored out of her mind. Men bored her. Okay? And so the only thing that she had fun was to go to the downtown branch office and listen to a lecture. That's the only few things that she likes to do. She likes the lectures. Then one day she decided she wanted to become a nun. And then her parents said, anything, but you can't become a nun. We agree to anything else. You can get married, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot become a nun. You are the last one. You are our baby. Okay, you cannot become a nun. So that's what stopped her from becoming a nun. What kind of obstruction is that, folks? What is it called? There are 3 kinds of obstructions. Karma obstruction. Karmic obstruction. can't do it. You're preventing from doing it, carrying out your karma, carrying out your action, right? So it's your own parents who are stopping her. In the Chinese culture, the Oriental culture, for a person to lead a home life is an extremely blessed event. Remember, because one person enters the way, 9 generations receive benefits immediately. Okay, so they recognize it's a very auspicious thing to do. And her parents, who are extremely wealthy, refuse to allow her to lead the home life. And guess what? She shaved her head anyway. So I imagine that she probably told her parents that I'm going to shave my head anyway, whether you like it or not. You might as well help me. So they probably called up the abbot and said, please give her a chance. This is our only child left in the family, and she probably would change her mind. So there you have it. At that point in time, I had no money, okay, had no place to live, no love, and there's one right there who's ready to offer everything that was convenient or when I went to business school, one of the Taiwanese teachers told me this guy graduated from MIT, or a PhD from MIT, and he said, see, you guys in the MBA program are going about it wrong. If you want to strike it rich, you shouldn't be. This is the last place you want to be. You should marry into rich boys. Difficult to see the state and not be moved by it. Okay. Luckily for me, at that point in time, I wasn't that interested in the opposite sex or wealth. But you undergo a lot of tests. And it's difficult to have a good understanding of skill in means. Skill in means is what? It's also called expedience. Basically, expedients are not something that you ought to use. Okay? Don't use expedience. Don't use skill in means. Because you're not wise enough. We're not wise enough to use skill in means. I remember during one of the early Chan classes, one of the students refused. And in the process of refusing that person permission to participate in the Chan class, I used some skill in means. Okay, and to sort of tell that person I know what he had in mind, what his motives are, his real motives are. It's not about to learn Chan from me, but to steal from me. And I know about it. If you want to come, you can come. But you better know that I know. Okay? And he never dared come around anymore. And so it came across as a lie. My refusal came across as a lie. Okay? It's really a skill in means. And as soon as, and I was grilled about that later on, I said, you replied to him in denying his permission to join the Chan class was a lie, wasn't it? Sort of. And if you like to construe it as a lie, it's a lie. But guess what happens? After that, my disciple felt just okay to lie to me. My own retribution right away. If I can do skilling means, therefore, so can anyone else. Thinking I didn't know. Anyway, don't stay away from skilling means. It requires a lot of wisdom, folks. The Buddha, when he was at one time, he saw a child on all fours about to fall down a well. Okay? It is playing on the edge. So the Buddha, he's about to fall down the well. The Buddha says, "Hey boy," he holds his arm and says, "Come here, I give you some candies." The palm of his hand is nothing. And the child came over thinking he would get some candies. So the Buddha had to give him something else. Okay. So can you say that the Buddha lied?
No.
Why not?
You saved the child's life.
Well, he lied.
You saved the child's life.
To lie is to say something that's not true. When you know it.
Justify the means.
It's skilling means. Okay?
It's for the purpose of saving and doing something helpful.
But you see, the Buddha knew that that child,
All kids want candy.
loved candies. If he say, "Come here, I give you a bell," or something, a doll or something, it may have not worked.
No, but candy will.
Okay, candy will. So he used some skilling means to save someone's life. Okay? But he had to say a lie, right? Under your eyes, it's a lie. To the Buddha, it's not.
That's right. You can call it a metaphor if you want to do that. You wouldn't call it a lie because
Why do I claim to the Buddha is not a lie? Because it's the Buddha state that you don't understand.
About half truths here? Or,
No, it's a lie. It's a downright. It's nothing. It's the power of his hand.
yeah. Oh, no, I'm still unclear about the definition of skill and means.
I am too.
I don't understand skill and means. We're talking about
Expedience to make things happen. Whatever expedience.
Whatever's in the moment, you have to know what to do quickly.
Yes.
Is that what you mean? That's what you mean.
Yes.
You could write.
Or let's say, yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, you have good samadhi. When I did that to Ralph the first time, it went like this.
Which one is wrong?
Josephus said.
Yeah, the one who left. And then after I taught him some samadhis, I did it to him again. He jumped again, but with his mind. So he thought he made progress, but I said, "Oh, no, you okay? You look better, but you still jumped."
But I still don't see that as a lie.
It's not a lie. It's a skill in me to teach.
I mean, what the Buddha did.
A lie, by definition, is to say something that you know is not true.
But he had something in his hand. He had a lure.
No, he says, "I have candy.
He had a fist, that's all.
I have candy in my
I
hand."
understand, but the candy was the lure.
Yeah, but there's no candy in his hand.
She's saying he had the illusion of candy.
But he had the lure, and that's what was needed to bring the child to him. Was the lure, and that's not a lie.
No, you very good. It's very subtle, a very good distinction right there. But in Buddhism, precept is very precise. If you, whatever I tell you, believe in what I tell you, and in my mind, I know it's not right. I know it's not the fact. If I say, "Come, I'll give you a piece of candy," and you listen to my word, you say, "Okay," that means that he has some candies here that I can come and get from him. Whereas from your part, that's what you understand from me, from my words. And the fact is that I do not have a piece of candy. That is a lie in the Buddhism. In Buddhism. There's no experience there. The fact is that it's a lie.
And you told.
So the Buddha told a lie. That's true. There's no denying he told a lie.
But all you did was tell him he could come to the meeting, right? I mean, you told him he could come to the meeting.
I said, the place is too small.
Well, that's
It's a
right.
lousy excuse.
I've forgotten.
He knew it. He was there once. The guy, someone applied for the China class, questionnaire, and I replied and said, too many people are interested, and I'm afraid there's not enough room.
Yeah.
Okay? And he was there already. So he knew that the size of the room. So when I said it to him, he would know that I wasn't being truthful. You see? He knew already. So why would I lie to him? Unless I know something else. Okay? That's why he got the message right away. Never dare venture near me again.
Could you have said that this class is not appropriate for you or wouldn't suit your needs, that I prefer to you? Can you say it that way?
Then I wouldn't have to lie. Okay? But then he would keep on coming back to me again. Right?
He knows the precepts and you know it.
No. He has a motive. He has an ulterior motive. He's after something from me. Thinking he can pull wool over my eyes. And I knew what he was up to. And therefore, by giving him that lousy excuse, which he wouldn't believe anyway. Right?
But he got the message.
Exactly.
This guy knows something about me.
Sure.
Already. Okay? So it serves as a purpose. Didn't impress him as a lie, but
don't we do that? I mean, as a mother, and bringing up a child for protection or for the well-being of that child, because they're limited in their understanding. There's times that you have to say things that could be taken as a lie.
yeah, by definition,
But
if
it's not.
you say something that's untrue, then it's a lie. No matter what your motives are.
Really.
Oh yeah,
And you're breaking a precept.
that's the way it is. Okay? What is black is black. What is white is white.
All right, so a layperson, if they do something that's skill and means, or like you've taken the precepts, and we do something like that, we're not a Buddha.
Right.
Are we?
So you're breaking the precept, you're saving someone's life.
Right.
So you have two different retributions. You have a retribution for breaking a precept, a non-lying precept, but you also have the retribution for saving someone else's life as well.
Right. And
Which is that equal merit and virtue?
What do you want?
Yes.
The way out?
Yes.
No, I just wanted to comment.
It's just the way it is. Just it is.
Okay.
So
That action has two consequences, two retributions. That's it.
And the rules about precepts are the rules.
So,
and the rules about the other
yeah.
are the rules.
It's a fact of life. If you lie, there's some consequences that are associated with that. Period. Okay. So in the future, you have to undergo your retribution. That's it. Whether you like it or not. So when you do it, the precepts are meant for you to recognize the consequences of your actions. Okay? Whether you take them or not makes no difference at all. But you have the advantage of learning about those boundaries that you should watch out for. And sometimes it happens. It's not like you take precepts and you never break precepts. Oops, I shouldn't have said that.
I think you've told the ladies.
Well, that's really
The ladies,
skill
it's
and
okay
means,
to tell little white lies.
Master. That's what skill and means really means about that.
Yes.
You have the precepts, but you have to.
So when you break the precepts, you have to undergo the retribution for breaking the precept, right?
Right.
Okay? And the sages, when they choose to break precepts, it's out of wisdom, not out of stupidity. See, we break precepts because we're stupid. We don't know any better. I'm not angry. No, I'm not angry. You know, sounds familiar? Who's angry? I'm not angry. And you ready to kill someone. Yeah? That's a lie right there. You know what I call liars? Thieves.
They're connected to them a lot. You hear that.
They're stealing our trust from us. Aren't they? And once you lie, then you also steal. So the 6 principles that Master Srila taught his disciples is no lying. Because with lying, you break the others as well. Okay, any other nerves that's that you'd like me to touch here?
Well, the next page will get some more.
Okay, next. moving on.
Get some more nerves.
So you would do that, you would, if you saw someone that was in harm's way, you would.
When you do it, you have to be aware that you're making a choice. Why do you cultivate so that you make the right choice? You don't cultivate so that you can escape your retributions. See, folks, boys and girls, you think you can come here and learn ways for me to help you escape the consequences of your actions. I can't help you. I don't have that wisdom. Nor can the Buddha have that kind of wisdom. Cultivation is to enable you to, at various decision points in your life, you make the right choice. That's what wisdom is about.
If the child was crawling toward the well,
yes,
and was about to drop in the well,
yes,
that was the child's karmic destiny, right? And so the Buddha, in doing what he did, meddled in the karmic destiny of the child.
yes,
and started that whole scheme of happenstance as well, the meddling in whatever he had to take of the child's karmic destiny upon himself.
Yes. But he's the Buddha. See, he's the Buddha.
Yeah, he's got better breaks to do it than we.
Yes, don't ask me next why he did it, because he's the Buddha. I don't understand his thing.
That he's because he's the Buddha. That's the answer.
Yeah, the sages have choose to meddle because of out of wisdom.
Yes.
See, we meddle because we are stupid, because we are arrogant. All right. Anyone else? Section 13, questions about the way and past lives. The Shramana asked the Buddha, by what causes and conditions can I know my past lives and understand the ultimate way? In the prior section, we talked about difficulties in cultivation. And now we are going to spiritual penetrations. The knowledge of past lives is one of the 6 spiritual penetrations that you can develop. Okay. I'm talking about you, all of you. Eventually, you will have you develop your own spiritual penetrations. And this is one of the 6 spiritual penetrations is the knowledge of past lives. So this monk here asks for the cause and the conditions. What's the difference between a cause and a condition? Anyone?
Condition is the existing circumstance. The cause is what leads to it.
Yeah, the cause is a direct causal, a direct reason for the effect. Okay? The conditions are the aiding factors. For example, you plant the seed into the ground, then you water it, you fertilize it, and so on. You put some work into it. The seed is the cause. The rest of it, the sunlight, the water, are conditions for the tree to grow. Alright? So there is direct relationship between the cause and the effect. The conditions are the intermediate factors that make the cause turn to an effect, connect with the effect quicker. Okay? So every time we create, we perform an action, we do something, we are planting the cause for some kind of effect, right? So down the road, whatever retribution we're supposed to receive, for example, from lying, is planted already because of our action. Okay? So your retribution is a matter of receiving the proper conditions for the effect to occur. Okay? So the fact you're here today, you have this body because you planted the causes in the past for you to have this body right now. Okay? And so in between, there's a time span. So everything we do has a consequence. But the trick is to learn how to mitigate the consequences or avoid them from maturing. Okay? Anything else? The Buddha said, by purifying your mind and preserving your resolve, you can understand the ultimate way. Just as when you polish a mirror, the dust vanishes and brightness remains. So too, if you cut off desire and do not seek, you can then know past lives. This all pertains to not only the spiritual penetration, knowing past life, but other spiritual penetrations as well. You need to purify your mind. You need to purify our mind. And that's why right now you don't have a whole lot of penetration, spiritual penetrations, because your mind is full of yuck.
Yes, it is.
Okay?
I agree with that.
That's why it's going to take time. When your mind settles down, in time it will. Okay? That's why we learn it. We learn it together so that we can purify our mind. And the key thing here is preserve our resolve. See, the Buddha is very kind. He says, okay, that's the direction you ought to go. But let me give you a hint. It's your resolve that you need to pay attention to. Now I showed you the direction. What's going to trip you is your resolve. Do you really want to go in that direction? If you do, you will get there. It's you who drop off by the wayside. It's not me who is lying to you. It's your resolve that's not being firm enough. Just as when you polish a mirror, the dust vanishes and brightness remains. If you purify your mind and cut off desire, okay, your mind is more still. It's just like the water. When you still the water, you can see the bottom of the lake. Okay? It's because of the motion in the water that prevents us from seeing clearly. Any questions?
Is that
Absolutely.
even if we had to work and live in the world?
Absolutely.
Seeking. Just do not
I know someone younger than you who can fly. Yeah? Seeking?
Seeking. Is it
Seeking.
just anything or everything or
Seeking is to chase after things, to go after things. Like, turning your head. A woman walks by, you turn your head. Your mind moves. You turn by states. That's seeking. Why does it happen? Because basically, you are seeking for something. You still want something. And someone walking by is simply the conditions for you to fulfill that.
isn't the resolve a form of seeking? The resolve
Yes.
to just a moment?
That's right. It's a good kind of seeking.
It doesn't say do the good seeking and not the bad seeking.
Keep going around and around here, maybe we'll get
That's the reason to
Actually, it's
Getting caught
called
up in a way is-
using poison to fight poison.
yes.
You start with because our nature is to seek anyway. Come on, first time you came to the child class is because you were seeking something, weren't you?
Still.
Now you're learning more and more. You refining your seeking. Your seeking become better and better. So we're replacing those seekings with the better ones.
Can I share a little story about that?
Certainly.
Walking down the road, and this man saw her, and he walked up to her and he said, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever." There is a woman, my sister, walking behind me, who is far more beautiful than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So he turned around and he looked and he saw this little crippled, hunched over little girl trying so hard to keep up with her sister. And he turned back to the woman and he said, "You have deceived me." And she said, "No, for you have deceived me. If truly I were the most beautiful woman you have ever seen, why did you turn around?"
That's what we refer to male wisdom. We check it out.
Sure.
We don't need it.
Sure.
But isn't that resolve? Isn't that fighting to your goal?
Well, you said that to her, but there may be somebody that you just haven't seen yet.
That's it.
That's not bad.
That's the first thing I thought when you said that. That's the first thing I thought.
You didn't tell her she was the most beautiful woman in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe you gotta change your story.
I'll have the world the next time.
Oh, what if I don't understand the point of view?
Get all the guys telling you, get a really good story out of it.
I will.
All right. In general, is the questions about spiritual powers and that kind of thing, and don't be too attached to it. You find out that spiritual powers are a lot more trouble than you think. They are two-edged swords. You don't have enough wisdom, you will abuse them. It's just like what we learned before. It's difficult to have power and not abuse it. Spiritual penetration is simply spiritual power. It's very dangerous. let it happen, let it whatever evolve, let it evolve naturally. Do not seek after it. See, that's one message I want to send to the people who listen to section 13. There's no need to seek for spiritual powers. There's no need to seek for knowledge of past lives. The premise is wrong. I would have scolded this man here if I were the Buddha. I said, oops, I should have said that. I said, if I were there, I would add to the lesson is that do not seek for it. There's no need to seek. If you start off cultivating and seeking for spiritual powers, you will run into so much trouble so quickly. Because once you have it, you will abuse it.
It sounds like some guy knows how to fly.
And that's the funny thing. Like I told you about the I Ching knowledge, I Ching Dharma in Chinese. In Chinese, something a Dharma called the I Ching, where you can predict the future with this Dharma, and it works.
Oh dear.
It works, and up to a certain extent, it works up to the level of the ability of the person who performs the Dharma. Okay, but all these things are once you have it, you tend to be attached to them. So it's important for you to know right now, to resolve right now, not to be greedy for powers, or spiritual powers. So for someone to come to the Buddha and say, how can I develop the knowledge of past lives? That's wrong. That's premise is wrong. If that person happened to be an arhat or higher, I would have taught him, it's okay, do these things. But if for us ordinary people, there's no need to seek for spiritual powers at all. No need for them. You don't need it any more than a child needs an Uzi in his hands. Anything else? Section 14. Asking about goodness and greatness. Shramana asked the Buddha, what is goodness? What is foremost greatness? The Buddha said, to practice the way and uphold the truth is goodness. To unite the will with the way is greatness. What is true goodness? What do you think? Goodness is to be true with yourself. Practice the way. Goodness is not about me certifying you to be good or the recognition from others that you're a good person or an award, a Nobel Prize. Goodness from inside. Are you truthful to yourself? You live by the principles. That's the first criteria. It's not from the outside. Okay? So, if you find a person, you run to a person who seeking fame, recognition of their goodness and their niceness, you can recognize that person is off. He's confused. There's no need to seek for recognition from others. Because you yourself know, ultimately. Any questions? What is to unite with the way? What does it mean? Become the way. How do you become the way? Become enlightened. You personify the way. Right? Why is it greatness? Why is it called greatness? Then why don't you call it good? Or big good?
Because it's the best good, so it's greatness.
Greatness has three connotations. Greatness has many goodnesses. It has big size, biggest possible. It also has a connotation of superiority, invincible, and unsurpassing. As big as it ever gets. That's called greatness. So whatever you name, okay, until you reach to be one with the way, you still haven't reached greatness yet. You can still be surpassed. All right. Anything else?
That wasn't clear to me.
What? Greatness and goodness? Or what?
So to be one with the way, you still can be surpassed.
You cannot be surpassed. Until you unite with the way. Section 15, asking about strength and brilliance. The Shramana asked the Buddha, what is the greatest strength? What is the utmost brilliance? The Buddha said, patience under insult is the greatest strength, because people who are patient do not harbor hatred, and they gradually grow more peaceful and strong. Patient people, since they are not evil, will surely gain the respect of others. In general, there are 6 kinds of strength. Okay? Number 1 is the strength of a child's tear. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Agree. Anyone watch Judge Judy at all? No one watches Judge Judy?
I must have watched it all the time.
I know who she is.
You know who she is?
I know who she is.
Huh? This day and age of DVR and TiVos, you don't record Judge Judy at all.
No, but she comes on right after the news at noon. So.
Yeah, she makes about $20 million a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Very
she
popular.
pays $10,000 to every person who's on the show.
Really? That much?
Yes.
Oh, see. Oh, I didn't know. 10,000.
10,000.
It's working.
And they sue each other, like $20?
Yeah, they're fighting over $30.
Wow, that's incredible. She's very smart, right? She
Yes.
went to a postgraduate school she went to school for 15 years or whatever. Did her postgraduate work as well. Was a family law lawyer for 25 years. Very smart lady, right? And she had this mouth, it's so sharp. The tongue is so sharp. She will cut you down in an instant, no matter how big you are.
She practices
I heard people, very big men, football type size, being chopped down on her shows. And they reduced to tears and shame, right? This woman here is incredibly bright and smart. I like her because she has a kind heart. She doesn't have a mean bone in her. Not a single mean bone in her body. That's her attraction, I think. She's fun, entertaining, all those things. But it's the fact that she's such a kind-hearted soul that does not repulse from her. That's why she has such a big following, right? And one day I saw her being chopped down there's this case where two families were suing each other. One is the two black families, like a young girl around in her teens, early teens, suing another one, her best friend, her ex-best friend. Okay. Over like they're pushing each other. They got into a fight. They got an argument. They're pushing each other, and one girl fell and broke her glasses, and now the mother is suing the other's mother for those glasses. Okay. Now I find out from Janine that they get 10,000 out of that. And so Judge Judy would then interrogate these two girls. She doesn't deal with the parents. The parents brought a lawsuit, but she would bring on the girls, the teenagers, and question them, interrogate them. So she was interrogating this tiny teenager, black one, and he says, "How can you be so mean to your best friend? And how can you be so untruthful? Because everything you told me so far, every answer you gave me is a lie. Every single one of them is a lie. I don't believe you." And you know what happened? This girl started tearing, and she started crying. She didn't make a sound, didn't even sob, didn't even move. Only her eyes were full of tears, as if that she was being unjustly criticized. See, Judge Judy is a very good judge of character. You don't get to be a judge without being a good judge of character. You don't get to be a manager without being a good judge of character. And even more so, you're a judge, and she does her research before she prepares for every single case very carefully. Okay, so before, it may be recorded on the show as such and such, but she reached her conclusion before she appeared on the show already. Okay? Before filming, she knew what the outcome is going to be, so she knew exactly what she wants to do with that person.
Because it's all rehearsed.
No, it's not. It's not. This girl here's tears are so spontaneous. And
I don't mean that part.
She was crying the river, Janine. It's not rehearsed. I can tell you it's not rehearsed. And you know what happened? Because Judge Judy's reaction is so unrehearsed. She panicked. She broke down. That's the first time in my life I saw Judge Judy at a loss of words.
Oh my.
Baby tears. And she backed down, and I look at that and say, wow, I learned such a big lesson that day. See, you think of babies and children as weak, but they have strength of the tears. And it dawned on me looking at her shoulders, wow, this is incredible. This is such a wonderful lesson for me personally. Okay? Then the next question in my mind, where did she learn that Dharma from? She couldn't have invented it. Somebody must have taught her. Right? Excuse me for the being a teacher. I always want to know how you learn the lesson. Who taught you? Okay? I think you can sympathize with that. And within minutes, I got the answer. You know how?
She has her own baby.
No. That's a good one. No. Just the reverse direction. She went on the wrong direction. She questioned the mothers. Do you believe your daughter? How could you condone your daughter being so untruthful? And guess what happened to that woman? She was crying too.
Man, that must have been a show.
Then Judge Judy recovered just like that. And she understood.
So is it the pain of the truth, or is it the shame?
It's a crocodile tears.
Oh.
The ability to create those tears at will is so beautiful to me, that Dharma. You can train a child to have to develop the ability so quickly in her years. The mother trained her child. She learned it from her own mother. If she watches the mother being untruthful all the time, she developed just like that. How can you, a big adult, pick on a small and defenseless and helpless girl?
Sure.
And destroy Judge Judy's case? It's not until the mother came along and she recovered. It's a no-win situation for the judge. Until the mother, or was mother's turn, then it appeared to everyone's clear to everyone that she was tearing. She was having crocodile tears. And then you make the connection to the girl.
And that case made it on TV because of it. Supreme entertainment. You don't see the ones that they don't air.
Yeah, sure. That's right. That's true.
I'm very cynical about
Well,
everything is scripted, but,
yes.
But
and Mel and I know that
Judge Judy's side comments and her arrogant comments and everything,
she's seen.
those are spontaneous.
Sure. Yeah, there's some rehearsed part.
No.
There's some.
And they probably do twice as many episodes as we ever see.
You don't have to be reasonable.
They have to set the
For them to pay her $30 million a year, they got to make some money.
Right.
Well, that's
Otherwise, you don't get to watch the show.
Right.
Coca-Cola will leave.
So was that example then? Is that couldn't be patience under great strength? Patience being the great strength, its manipulation was the great strength.
Yeah, the child's tear strength. Do not underestimate it. Number 2, a woman's hatred strength.
Where'd you get all this stuff?
This is wait. I have an excuse. Wait, I have an excuse. Hold your horses. This is Chinese wisdom.
I have trouble with English. You know?
That's flavor.
This is a warning for you boys, young men. Do not incur a lady's wrath.
True.
Do not underestimate it. Let me tell you. Do not. Because I'm still paying.
That's been the subject of books and novels and movies.
Yes.
It's a theme throughout.
It's just the nature, the yin nature. Women are more yin dominant than yang. The yin nature is that it's harder for the yin nature people to let go. It's much harder. See, men are more stupid. Excuse me. In the sense that we are so superficial. We blow our top and then we forget because it's not pleasant. Okay? We want to forget. We prefer to forget. The yin nature is that you cannot forgive. I'm not talking about women and men in general. I'm talking about yin and yang natures. Be careful about that. Okay? Recognize your tendencies and guard against them. Let go. Learn to let go.
Doesn't Chinese wisdom state, though, that the women are young and men are
No, that's my wisdom.
That's also Michael Watt.
As soon as they buy it, becomes my wisdom.
Okay.
And it goes way back to the Greek days when the play Medea was performed, and Jason comes after being unfaithful with Helen and knocks on his wife Medea's door, demanding his children. And she comes to the door with the bloody hands and said, "Here are your children."
Helen stood on the shore and sunk the ships. And I didn't go out.
And speaking of strength, the third kind of strength that we should know about is Brahman's patience strength. The Brahmins,
Indian.
your ashrams, those guys with long hairs. They sit there and they sit there and they sit there forever. Nothing you can do to move them. Nothing.
Nothing distracts.
It's tremendous patience. Wow. You know, that hair, you know how many creatures live in that long hair? They don't ever wash. You live with that.
Is it long enough the birds nest in it?
So it's remarkable, that strength. It's remarkable. The fourth kind is something you all know about. A king's arrogance strength.
Because we succumb to power.
Because Bush does whatever he pleases.
That's right.
But conversely, we succumb to it. Till the next election.
Don't understand why
It can move mountains. It can destroy nations. The strength to destroy countries is one example of that strength. The ability to influence generations, the ability to destroy even races, nations, cultures.
Technically, it's the planet right now.
Yeah.
Technically, the planet could be destroyed by it.
But what I meant by
Does that answer your question? Well, it's
Whether it's good or bad. It's so strength.
you combine the arrogance or the self, the unrestrained self, with the power to self-indulge. That's how I look at the king's arrogance as. The self is unrestrained. I'm the king, therefore no one can tell me what to do. You don't have to go very far. Look at your family. You go to your family and say, I'm the king. That's it.
But citizens allow it. They think, oh, we'll be taken care of. I saw a fascinating article, program on Hurricane Katrina, and the people who got their community going, not waiting for the government funds or anything, were the Taiwanese and the Vietnamese people who came over because they were so used to being displaced in their own country and surviving floods that they did it themselves. They pooled all their resources. They helped each other build their houses. They shared their food. And they were the first and they did it all without government help. And the others are still waiting for the government to help them.
Yeah.
And the government is us.
It's a matter of conditioning.
That's true. It is conditioning.
Okay, two more. Number 5 is an arhat's vigor strength. Takes a lot of vigor to attain arhatship. If you are an arhat, let me tell you, you're a pretty vigorous dude or dudette. Okay? Any questions on that? Number 6 is the Buddha's kindness and compassion strength.
Why is that number 6 instead of number 1? Is it going in, is number 1 Are they all equal?
No, not necessarily.
Building to the crescendo.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Kind of hard to rank. It's not meant to rank. It's meant to point out the forces to be reckoned with. You recognize them and you channel those forces properly, then you can do some good. You don't know, you don't recognize them, you go against those forces, you're in for some tough times. To me, I wish when I were RJ's age, I know about the women's strength. And you know, to this age, I still am learning about that.
Me too at my age.
You guys are slow learners.
Remember the vast information that was needed to be learned? That's part of it.
You should have a red flag raised right in your mind as soon as you see a woman getting angry. Or a yin nature person getting angry. Be extremely careful. You know, it's not only for women. This, you see, you shouldn't take these things literally. Women angry strength. If a man is predominantly yin, that's the last person I want to make angry. Lucky you will.
Get them angry.
Yeah, give them a test.
Really blow it?
You know it. You don't have to get them really angry. You just have to get them really angry.
I know a few of those kind.
Why do a number of people feel that kindness and compassion is weak?
Because I don't know why.
Because they don't have it, and so they put down anyone who does because they don't understand it.
Yeah, I believe it's because in the short term it is, right? Kindness and compassion. If you're only going to look at this moment or this lifetime, and you don't have the goal or the awareness of understanding the implications of not being that, then it is. Go and take what you want,
Right.
how you want it for this lifetime.
Territory.
If you're going to have that scope, if your scope is going to be that limited, then it does appear weak.
Strength and violence are scary. They can hurt you back. Your passion will hurt you. So violence and the strength more validity than kindness and compassion. Although it's nice to have around, careful with other stuff.
So what have you been doing with the child class, with the child training? You're developing a lot of strength, aren't you? Remember, patience is real strength, right? It's greatest strength. And that's what you learn, to be patient with your leg pains, patient with all the distractions that goes on in your little head, your private little head. All to learn to be more and more patient so that you don't get off course. You don't give up. Alright? That's what we're learning about strength. So once you have strength, then that section later on talks about brilliance, which is really wisdom. Strength enables you to get your way. Right? That's what's so attractive about strength. You get what you want. You're a winner. You win. And what's patience? Come on, quickly, what's patience?
Tolerance.
Huh?
Tolerance.
Strength.
You lose. And that's the strongest thing. By losing, you're so much stronger. Lose. You take a loss. Instead of sleeping a little bit more on Saturday morning, you get up, you go and chant the Buddha's name. Aren't you taking a loss? Aren't you choosing to take a loss? In comfort? In self-indulgence? You're not for real. No, the point is that real strength comes by learning to lose, not by learning to win. As long as you insist on winning, on coming out ahead, you're still weak.
Wow.
You think they talk about, Buddha would say, oh, what is the greatest strength for the heck of it, for discussion over tea? These lessons are so beautiful.
Constantly encouraging to move forward, to endure, to strive for.
So what does it mean? I'm asking you to give up something by doing that. Am I not? I'm asking you to give up sleeping a little bit longer on Saturday morning. I'm asking you to give up TV time. I'm asking you to give up more time, a little bit more time doing this, doing that. For rich